What is that? It is the prince. He is coming.
Welcome everybody to our slasher movie discussion / slasher villains. This is going to be a fun one. I'm interested to see the reaction to this. The main thing we want to just talk about is kind of the more modern horror icons. And I'll just kind of start off by bringing in my guests. Please welcome.
Look! The moonlight shows us for what we really are. We are not among the living, and so we cannot die. But neither are we dead. For too long.
Welcome.
Hello there.
And a noun. Good to see you as always.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you back on the show. And we have two first-time comers who I'm very excited to bring on. Please welcome first.
Targeting system's knackered, boss.
Am I balling it?
What's up? Happy to be on.
Welcome. And we have our good friend, John Lumley.
What, do you want to see my new chainsaw and hockey mask?
Oh, sorry. What am I thinking?
Hello, chat.
Welcome. And we have one final guest that I would like to bring on. And that would be Cotterwolf. Welcome.
Oh, I love that Balrog.
Indeed.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Of course. Of course. So right now we're just going to hop into the presentation. So this is going to be our rough layout, our outline, kind of mostly because kind of an outlier slightly is Hannibal Lecter, but mostly because I just wanted to talk about Hannibal Lecter and I couldn't think of anywhere else to put him. So first off, we're just gonna slashers in general. Why is it that slasher movie villains and slasher movies in general do you think have caught on over the past few decades? Why do you think that is? Let's start with Nick Brown.
I would say it's usually because of the characters themselves, the slasher villains. Usually the successful movies like Leprechaun or Puppet Master, they have interesting villains, and the kills as well in the movies are sometimes very unique, and that's what can catch a movie on and keep the slasher sort of prominent and make it popular.
So it's the creativity as well as kind of the flair of the character is the main thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a better way to put it than I did.
Gino, why do you think that is? That slasher movies are so popular?
I would definitely say it's because of the need to kind of see the cool, gory kills, as was said before, but also kind of going on some of our more primal fears with some of the monsters that we'll obviously talk about later. For instance, with Jaws, you get the fear of the water that movie put on everyone. So,
Cotterwolf, for you, what do you think are the main things?
Well, I think slashers are an easy to digest premise, so like you can churn them out pretty quickly if you want to write something quick and make a quick buck, especially during the Halloween season. But but because it's a simple premise, it's also easy to you can refine it a lot, so you can get some pretty good slashers out of it. Um, However, I thought like the slashers lately have been on the downtrend, at least on the traditional sense, like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, those kind of slashers. I haven't seen them around lately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John Lumley, what are your thoughts?
I would say that like y'all all made great points about like there's design in the villains, like Jason stands up and Michael stand up because they have masks, or Freddy because he's burned up and has metal fingers, basically. Then also there's the element of I would say the reason why like slashers aren't as prevalent now is much more is allowed to be shown, and part of what slashers brought out was during say the 80s you could see people getting dismembered after doing things they're not supposed to be doing.
And right now there's kind of a less I guess like there's a less anti-liberal stance.
It's very less conservative, like just in terms of behavior. So
Okay, that's a good start off. So, and would you say that those are all kind of the reasons that you guys like these movies, or these movies appeal to you?
Fine, no con.
What? What was that?
That sounded like somebody's crazy grandpa came in and nude and just started shouting.
Is this Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What?
So, like, would you say that those are the main things that kind of appeal to you about these movies, or would you say that about these characters in specific, or would you say that, or are there some more things that you would like to talk about as kind of like the base things of what you like about them?
I mean, horror has always appealed to me as a whole for a long time, because as a kid I couldn't stand it. I would actively avoid horror because it scared me so much, but now it fascinates me. And it's just kind of the mindset of like the killer. So I just think it's interesting, I guess. That's I don't really know where else to go with that.
Okay. Basically, kind of like the I guess, to pull in a different thing, it would be kind of people like identifying with the T-Rex, or kind of embodying the T-Rex to kind of overcome the fear that they feel when they see it on screen.
Yeah, exactly. That would be it.
Yeah. Let's kind of go into the granular detail, shall we? Mr. Freddy Krueger. So, Freddy is kind of...
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's generally recognized kind of across, like, not only horror fandom, but kind of just movie fandom in general as just this iconic movie monster or movie killer. What are some of his characteristics that make him like so immediately identifiable, aside from like the physical characteristics that we see on the screen right here?
Aside from the physical characteristics, he has a very fun personality. He is a very, very funny guy with some of his one-liners. He's also a very sadistic sort of character as well, with how he treats his victims and what happens to the said victims after he kills them in their sleep. They sort of incorporates their souls. He sort of absorbs them in a way.
Well, he's for one, being the dream killer. Like,
yeah.
While that premise has been around in folklore for a long time, I think Freddy was the one who to really capitalize on it finally, because while we're sleeping is when we're the most vulnerable. So it's just he's just capitalizing on an innate fear that we all share, and so that makes him immediately identifiable just as a killer. Like he's the one who kills you in your sleep.
And also, you could do since he can attack you in your dreams. There's a lot of like creativity that you can do with kind of the reality warping of it.
Oh yeah, that's always been the most fun part about Freddy Krueger. I really love the reality warping parts of like whenever he went into somebody's dream.
Yeah. Like I always kind of imagine, like I need to watch these movies, but like from what I understand, like I always kind of imagine almost like a Mad Hatter type thing, or he's trying to sadistically like make people have nightmares while he kills them, and people eventually kind of figure out his game. Like how do people like usually beat Freddy? What's kind of like his weaknesses, would you say?
Well, in the first film, I believe it was kind of established that the main girl, I'm forgetting her name at the moment, she kind of had to not believe in him. I don't know. She kind of had to have confidence in herself. But then she also, I believe at the end of the film, she got him back into the real world so that she could actually kill him. Because in the dream world, Freddy's basically invincible. That's his play land. So you got to bring him to a place where he's more vulnerable if you want to try to take him out.
Yeah, it was in the first film that they set it up that she during one of her nightmares she grabs his hat and brings it back into the real world with him. So they find out that they can drag him back into the real world and kill him, which ends up being false anyways. Because as soon as you kill him in the real world, he just goes back to the dream world.
Yeah.
So it's just this never-ending loop.
Yeah, because sorry. No, you want to finish your thought. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that was. I was just saying that was like my least favorite part about Freddy is well, it turns out that he has no weaknesses.
Yeah, because he wins.
Robert Shea wins for that one.
Yeah, he wins in the end of the first one technically because they all get in the car, or at least Nancy, main character's girl named Nancy Thompson, gets in the car. It has the colors of like Freddy's jacket. She starts screaming to her mom, and car drives off. You hear the iconic song in the background, and then Freddy kills the mom.
The first one still blows me to this day. That ending.
Yeah, it's iconic. The first one has a lot of iconic Johnny Depp's in it. How could we forget about his very iconic death?
Yeah,
sucked into the bed.
Oh my god, it's the best one by far. Probably
just gallons and gallons of blood.
Probably still to this day. The amount of like the technology that they had, I think they had to have the whole room set up on like a cable system or something, and they were flipping it in 360 degrees. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, Wes Craven, man, he made the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and the Scream movies, 2 slashers. Yeah, Ghostface and Freddy Krueger.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Ghostface.
Yeah. And Ghostface, from what I understand, is kind of the poor man's slasher villain in a ways because he's kind of just a loser.
Yeah. He's just two dudes.
Around.
It's 2 dudes in a mask.
And then it gets worse in the sequels.
Yeah. For Scream, Scream just watched like the first one and maybe the second one. From what I remember, the second one was good to an extent, but the rest of them do not watch.
Well,
and yeah.
From what I understand, it's got Aaron Kruger's crappy abstained hands all over the 3rd and 4th one.
Yeah.
I never watched the Scream movies, to be honest. Just Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers.
Yeah.
It worked for the 90s, but it does not translate now. Like if you were to make it now, it doesn't work, especially for how self-aware it was, or at least it thought it was.
Well, meta is all the rage now.
Yeah.
If you really want meta, what's the Nightmare on Elm Street where it's the movie? I think it's Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where the actors are playing themselves, and the director Wes Craven, he's playing himself. They're suffering like the real Freddy. Like the previous movie was all fake. Like, oh yeah, that movie is popular than this movie.
And it even And it even has Robert Englund in the movie just as himself, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why would you say that Freddy is so? I think we've kind of gone into it. Is it kind of mainly the creativity of the dream kills, or what else would you say makes him so enduring as a character? Would you say?
I would say it's the combination of his behavior and then of course how he's acted by Robert Englund. Because it was already fine having the boogeyman that can tailor make nightmares according to whatever your interests or fears are, but England really carried it by he if any other actor played Krueger, it would be cringe. Even Jackie Earl Haley tried in 2010 and it didn't come off well.
Yeah, that's why the 2010 movie is forgettable.
Yeah, the remake. I did see it, but I barely remember it.
Yeah, it's like if Robert Englund didn't play Freddy Krueger, they might not have gone past the second one.
Probably not.
Hannibal Lecter, you can play either Anthony Hopkins or you can play Mads Mikkelsen in that role, and both will do fine. But there's no one else that can play Freddy, at least so far from what we've seen.
Yeah. What are some of the changes that Freddy has undergone over the years, from his first movie to the latest incarnation? What have been the things that have shifted over the years about him? I imagine the quippiness has kind of been was upped from the first movie, but what other things changed?
It's after one, they really prioritized him as the main character almost of the series, because Nancy after 3 was basically dead. And they have him doing all these one-liners and stuff, and it works for a time, but then it just becomes too goofy. And then there was a lot of effort to try and come up with better designs for these dream worlds you would come up with, but even those fell off a bit. They tried to introduce some Catholic themes that didn't really go too well, and there was some model that they would do of that Elm Street house, and it'd be some sort of I don't know how to describe, I don't know what the material is, but they would make it, and some character would always have it in the movies.
Isn't Freddy's origin he is the son of 1,000 psychopath, 100 psychopaths?
Yes, and that was in the I think that was in 3 that they started that.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I kind of liked it better as him just being some pedophile.
Some predator, which the problem in 2010 is they just outright said, yeah, he's a pedophile, and they didn't leave any ambiguity.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Perhaps behind all the slasher villains, the famous ones, is that you don't know their entire backstory. You don't know for sure what they are. For Freddy, you knew glimpses. You knew how he died. You didn't really know why. But then they try to keep explaining all their motivations, their backstories, and it lessens the villain and makes them more comedic and less threatening and less scary. Especially when they try to give him a daughter in one of them. That was
part 6.
Yeah, part 6 is they just keep trying to explain everything for Freddy, and it didn't work, and you lose some of that novelty for those characters.
The mystique kind of vanishes a little bit when you go into too much detail.
Yeah.
And also, they just kind of saturated the market with him, because New Line Cinemas would just pump out new movie after new movie, which the same can be said for Paramount with Friday the 13th, but it lost even more mystique with
Yeah, there's this interesting thing with sorry to cut you off. There's this interesting thing with the horror monsters that kind of become more famous. It's when you add more information, more to their lore, you take away from the mystique and the fear aspect that they had originally. So you're kind of losing the origin of the character to, I don't know, I guess kind of, I don't know, personify, endear to the audience, sort of.
I mean, that's kind of like the nature of the Infinite sequel, though, because
Yeah.
you're kind of like when something's popular, you got to make more. And since like things like Freddy Krueger and Jason were all like supposed to be just this one-shot thing, you can just kind of just keep throwing out the same thing over and over again, and like the audiences will generally be happy with it.
Yeah.
Even though but every new movie you have to explain something new because someone's asking that question.
Yeah,
Exactly. How did they? Oh, you can go first.
Sorry. Like I would say after 3, which is Dream Warriors, they like stopped really trying with characters that much. Like they didn't like the non Freddy characters, like this victims and the teens, they didn't try that hard. There was some stuff in like 4 and 5 they did, but it wasn't as much as the first few, and it definitely wasn't as good.
Yeah, a lot of people got angry after was it 4 because they liked the characters in the Dream Warriors, but then they killed them all off in like the first 30 minutes in the next movie, and I heard that ruffled a lot of feathers with the 4th movie, because usually when I talk to people about the Nightmare movies, it's watch the odd ones, but the even ones are really bad.
Yeah, there's a similar thing with Jason there, that the whole thing about killing the main, I don't know, heroine or whoever survived the last film to make the monster, I guess, more intimidating because they beat the person that beat them before, but you kind of just undercut the film that came before in the
Sorry to cut you off. They do it to try and like, oh, see, we have continuity in our films. We connected it to the past one.
It hasn't worked. They tried in Alien 3 and it's never worked. Killing off your heroes from the last movie does not work very well.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, generally, like when somebody does that, that's generally like the time where the series shows its weaknesses. But I guess these horror franchises, they do that nearly every film. Is that correct?
Not every film, but they do it a good bit.
Yeah, it's a cliche.
Do you think a lot of it has to do like they have to get new actors, and so they just want to explain away as like, oh, why isn't this person showing up, or why does no one know how to deal with this person right now? It's like, oh, well, all the other people are dead, so they can't explain it.
Yeah.
Well, I usually think that the actors come back. Usually, the only time when like the actor doesn't want to be there is when they'll kill them like off screen, or they'll be like, oh, they're in a different town. But yeah, I don't know the reason for wanting to kill off a famous character from the last film.
Yeah, sometimes the actors they get too big. Example being probably Scream 3, where I forget his name, but he's the guy who played Sabretooth in the X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. He was in Scream 2. He was sort of a main character, but then he gets killed off right away in Scream 3, which I didn't like that at all. It's like, oh, I like that guy. He made it, and then he kill him off.
I do have to say that I am very thankful to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, because they built New Line Cinemas in a way that, because most of these movies are really cheap and have a really good multiplier on average. It's when they get like big budgets that they usually start to fall.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Which is I think that part of it is just like the limitations make them more creative. And like when you just use CGI, like I imagine, like from what I've seen, like a lot of people complain about the CGI use in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with Jack.
It's not like they put CGI on Freddy. They put it on like a lot of the kills. And sometimes it's okay, but usually it's not. And you can tell that like the practical effects in the original are just way better because they're practical than how they handled the CGI in that movie.
Early 2010s were very strange. They put a lot of CGI in those movies, especially in the horror movies. The prequel to The Thing, 2011, they had all these practical effects, but the studio said no, put CGI over those practical effects, and it made it look very, very fake when the practical effects looked good in that movie. But it's just
Like
very strange.
Like when the dude's like stomach opens, they made a practical like stomach splitting open machine or like harness, but they overlaid it with so much CGI that nobody would notice. But it was a practical. Is that a good example?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then also you get like the Marvel movies. Like they used to do like actual practical like suit
Iron Man
designs
suit.
and
Iron Man suit, yeah.
And now it's just CGI. Like Spider-Man they had for last year's movie. His like actual suit was looking really good, but then they just went with CGI instead.
Well, to go to the Marvel example, I remember they would always put Robert Downey Jr. in the top part of the suit, and then they would kind of CGI over top of it. But the reason why they actually had him in a physical suit was to try to capture, I don't know, I guess the physique, how it would realistically look on a person. But sooner or later, Downey Jr. he said, "Oh well, just CGI the entire thing. Like I'm tired of wearing it." So that's how it went for Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Freddy Krueger before we move to Jason? I think we've pretty well covered him. Alrighty. Similar questions with Mr. Voorhees. What are like? I guess like what are I guess something I forgot to add. What is usually his function in terms of the story? What is Freddy's function usually in the story of his movies? Like he's the main character through most of the sequels, but he's the main antagonist in the first one. What is like? Would you say is his place in the story usually? With Jason,
Pick on children.
He picks on children. Okay. And Jason's kind of a morality tale almost, where the joke with the Friday the 13th movies is that it's basically just all of the characters are terrible, and Jason Voorhees exists to kill the ones that are having sex or doing drugs.
Yeah, no. Reagan would have loved him if like he knew what he fought on the war on drugs, but
yeah.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, Jason he's a weird one just because Freddy, he's in all of his movies. Jason's not in all of his movies. He's not really in the first one until like the end, technically, even though that could be charted up to a dream. And then he's not in the fifth one at all.
And then 9, he's basically out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th is a weird franchise because Jason wasn't a big part of it until like he doesn't show up until like the second one.
Okay.
And even then, I don't recall if he gets his signature hockey mask in that one or if it's...
He gets it in 3.
He gets
the second one. He has like the mask, like that has like one eye hole or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like so I think like the signature of Jason was like he was kind of I think it appealed to like the standard household family because it was kind of a
morality tale.
Well, yeah, it's a morality tale. It was kind of like a conservative, like not to get political in any sense, but like he was kind of like the
traditional.
He's traditional conservative punishment for those who like partake in sin, and so he was there like to punish these people, so people could, and that's kind of what made him popular. Is that it's like, oh, these people were bad anyways, and they're getting punished, but it's like cruel and like it's exciting.
And it can be like very fun. Like I don't know how to say it, but like some of like the way brute force kills them is entertaining.
Wait, did you just say force kills people?
Like brute force. Brute force. I'm sorry. My mic is not.
He might as well.
Not until Jason X.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Jason with a lightsaber?
That would be hilarious. Disney,
It would be better than what we got in
Disney,
past films.
somebody original make that idea. Jason Voorhees with a lightsaber, or Jason Voorhees X-esque character. Make that movie, not Disney. You wouldn't be able to get that R rating.
I'd love to
Who
see
owns
like
Friday the 13th? Is it
rotting
Fox?
rotting Jedi robes, and like he's got this really short lightsaber. He uses the Perry saber as his main weapon.
How
Instead
bad
of-
is he looking at the mask? Because
It's-
after,
sorry.
sorry. But after
Maybe
like
Stormtrooper
six-
mask or something.
Oh, yeah, like a torn apart stormtrooper mask that just like shoves onto his face.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool character. I think we made something neat.
All right.
Instead of Count Dooku in Episode 2 fighting Yoda, it's Yoda fighting Jason.
Oh no, Jason Voorhees should have been the main villain of Rise of Skywalker.
Hey, I would. Jason being a Jedi is much
It
better.
would make
than
about as
Secret
much sense.
Great Jedi, Cody Skin.
Alrighty. Well, let's. So with Jason, so his main characters is kind of like he's kind of almost. It seems like basically what you were saying in terms of his characteristics is he's a kind of consistently like almost nebulous character, and he kind of evolves like over the course of the first 3 movies into what we see him. Is that correct?
Yes. And like 4 is him like fully formed as what he is throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, until Corey Feldman kills him.
Yeah, and then like from 6 onwards, he's this like basically zombie that's like even more powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of like what's neat about Jason is that like he's kind of like this enigma that people they kind of just slap him together as the movies go on. It's like, oh wait, now he's like this.
Yeah,
But-
because like the first couple, they treat him like he's alive, like immortal, and then the next like 6 onwards, he's a zombie, undead.
Yeah.
He just kind of rises from that lake that he's in,
Mm-hmm.
and perpetually.
I take.
Oh,
you can go.
sorry. Didn't the mom wear the mask?
No, she wears no mask.
No.
She
I
didn't
think-
wear the hockey mask. I thought she did.
No.
hockey
That,
mask.
that the hockey mask isn't until 3.
Yeah, I always take huge issue with the first 2 because like later on in the series, Jason definitely is like kind of is like a morality barometer to an extent. But in the first 2, his mother and him, they kind of just like there's a bunch of pretty decent kids that don't do anything wrong and they still get slaughtered in those first 2 films. So the morality aspect definitely doesn't come on till later in the franchise.
Yeah, he's just like angry, and then he's angry about his mother dying. So
I know he just puts the machete and hits the machete in the face of a guy in a wheelchair in the second film, and I'm like, what?
So the whole scene with him falling. Oh my god!
Yeah. They tried to copy sort of Michael Myers, where Michael Myers will kill anyone and everyone who gets in his way. Jason is sort of like the opposite, where he does the morality. You do something wrong, he'll try and kill you. Or at least that's how the movie sort of portrayed later on.
So, in terms of the victims, this is kind of just something that kind of comes up in a lot of circles. Is in terms of like the morality tale versus like the person who just will die. What do you think? What would you say are like the pros and cons of having like sympathetic victims versus victims that are not so sympathetic, shall we say, or like it's satisfying to get to see them die? What would you say are like the pros and cons of both creative choices?
Ooh, okay, so I want to go first on this one. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I've always thought that it's kind of counterintuitive. Because for me, in a story, I would think that you want to make the characters who are trying to survive the big monster sympathetic so that when a lot of them get killed off, the audience, wants the monster to be killed even more. They want the remaining characters to survive more. But it's weird in slashers, they've kind of like switched the dynamic the other way, where you want to see the monster kill off these bad teens or these gang leaders or these heretics, whoever.
It's just a business model for them. It's just making characters that like are actually likable. Is they don't want to go that far and do that much, so it's easier to just cheapen the whole movie and make it, oh, let's watch Jason kill a bunch of bad teenagers who aren't even bad.
Because making likable characters and having the audience actually be attached to them is kind of harder to do. So
Yeah, and then of course Paramount didn't really want to make a lot of Jason. Like most of them didn't want to make. They just knew to make money.
Yeah, it's just easier to digest for general audiences because killing off characters that people relate to or like to can really put off a general audience, the common person, I guess. They would just be like, oh no, that's not good. You shouldn't support something like this.
I don't know. Could we say that if the movie's already taking it as far as using a javelin to like conjoin two people
Is that
together,
the second one? Yeah,
that is the second one. Or
that sounds nuts.
Yeah, or
gets
just
worse
taking
when
an
you
arrow
look
and
up
putting
into
it through someone's throat. Like if the movie's
Kevin
going that
Bacon.
far. Yep, Kevin Bacon's kill. I still never understand it, but I mean, it looks cool. Like, how's a mom that strong? She can put the arrow through the bed and put through Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
The arrow would bend.
because she fights the war on drugs.
You don't know that mom lifts. She lifts hard. She's like at least 200.
Hey, mama in that sweater, she looked kind of swole, not gonna lie.
So,
Yeah, I definitely like the sympathetic characters more because usually
they stand out.
Yeah, they stand out, and those are usually the best of the horror movies, I would say, and of all the franchises. The first Halloween, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, those characters are sympathetic, and those are usually the more quality of the movies, the better ones, where the characters you feel bad for them, and so when they get killed, it's like, oh no, I liked him.
Yeah, or even just going to the formula of let's just like Terminator or T2 or Jaws or Alien or Aliens. You still love the space, or you like some of the Space Marines, or you at least want them to survive. But like in all those films, part of the reason why they're classics is because you have an attachment to a lot of those characters that end up getting killed off in epic fashions. Whereas with these films, like other than the main baddie, do you have anybody that you really attach to? Like I'm thinking of Tommy Jarvis, and then I'm thinking of
the girl in Seven, the Carrie girl.
Yeah, and then yes, Carrie was a good one. And then also the sister of of Michael Myers. I believe it's his sister.
In Halloween 4.
Yeah, those are like the only characters outside of the monsters that I ever care about, and it's like there's so much lost potential there.
No, in Halloween 1, it was his sister that he was going after. That was a plot point in the first one.
It's weird. No, there's still in like no, it's her. It's his niece, I think. In 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's easy. Like, but yeah. So basically, going over what they already said, it's easier to write. But I think if it was given more care, the unsympathetic protagonist could have done really well in a slasher flick. Like if you just kind of
have them go on a character arc.
Yeah, well, a character arc, or you like play into them being unsympathetic, like
Ash in Evil Dead.
I was just gonna say a Charlie Sheen type unsympathetic, like badass. But in those movies, I thought he was kind of sympathetic, right?
I thought he was sympathetic too, but I was going to point out a good example of the unsympathetic is the Pumpkinhead, at least in the first one, where these group of teens accidentally killed the main guy's son, the main guy who played Bishop from the Alien movie.
And then the father, out of revenge, gets a blood pat with a demon.
With a witch, blood pack. He gets a witch to get a blood pack to get this Pumpkinhead creature to start chasing after the teens, and you kind of feel bad for the teens because not all of them. Some of them tried to do the right thing by staying with the kid and try to help him and talk to the dad, but some of them are so unsympathetic, but then they try and do better and save their friends and try and make amends. So it's like that's where I would say the unsympathetic characters kind of work in that one, because you see both sides of the conflict.
I need to watch Pumpkinhead.
I know that the setup in that film definitely like it's really good.
Yeah, Stan Winston. That was a Stan Winston directed one, I believe.
Okay.
I would argue part 8 includes Jason Goes to Manhattan, and then the reboot. They didn't do a great job, but they try to an extent to make Jason less bad. Like, so he was already like, people come to watch Friday the 13th to see him, but they try to make him like, they try to flesh him out a bit. Because they make him, he's scared of water now for some reason.
Oh yeah, that was
And
in
they
the.
do that in,
Spends all of his time in the water.
Yeah, he emerges from the water. That's where, like, at the end of the first one, he attacks the main girl by jumping out of the water and tipping over the canoe.
Yeah, and then what is it? In 8, where like he's in the sewer or whatever. Oh my god, that was so.
I just hadn't.
Jason Goes to Manhattan was weird.
Jason Goes to Manhattan was that was one where they needed a bigger budget and the guys requested it to make a bigger budget, but they couldn't get it.
Yeah, it had like actual ambitions if you look at like some of what they've said, but they definitely didn't reach them.
So, we've mentioned a couple of his abilities, but what are like some of Jason Voorhees' abilities, and how do they make him special?
All right, so it starts with the super strength, right? The second is probably, I don't know, like the super speed in the water. He's like Aquaman whenever he gets in the lake. Yeah.
And the magic teleportation.
Teleportation. I actually like teleportation for a monster type character, because then you could set up scenes where you get to the suspense. You think they're going to be right around the corner. Character goes around the corner. Oh, nothing's there. Turns out they pop up right behind you. So,
good example of that. First 5 minutes of the X-Men 2 movie where Nightcrawler was brainwashed and he started taking out all the guards.
Ooh, deep cut.
Yeah.
Well, actually, can we really say that's part of his abilities though? Because technically, those are never really, those are never really confirmed inside the plot of the show. He's just kind of as fast as he needs to be. He's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't technically have super speed.
His abilities tie in with the plot of what that.
Yeah, his abilities are more plot related than anything.
Yeah, I thought the teleportation was like established once he became like a supernatural being. Because in the first couple movies, I definitely take problem with it, where he's just teleporting all the time, but he's supposed to be just this regular dude.
Even after Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, is that when he gets the power? No.
He gets the shape-shifting power, actually, after that.
Yeah, but I think that's only for that film, right?
Yeah, that was only for
the one where like they eat his heart or whatever dumb thing. They try and be like a body horror movie, but it's not.
It doesn't work. I believe fans didn't like that film too much because Jason also wasn't in it. Really?
Yeah, they have like a cop, they have a reporter, and then they have someone else be Jason, I think.
So why do you think Jason has kind of endured for so long over the course of his movies? And are there similar reasons to Freddy, or are there kind of slight differences in why he's kind of been like relatively enduring?
I think it's because Jason, that might be more due to sort of his physical appearance and his sort of costume, because his powers and abilities change with each movie. But he's sort of become like the face of the slasher genre. Maybe that's because he's easy to dress up as for Halloween. All you need is a hockey mask and a jacket.
Yeah, he's very like him. He doesn't need to do nearly as much to stand out as Freddy, who needs to be like this convincing version of himself.
Yeah, he doesn't talk either, so you can bodybuilder type you can just put in the mask.
Okay.
So, something I do want to touch on is sometimes so if you watch the movies, you would think that he's like mentally delayed, and they basically say that, but he can be very smart the way he sets up kills and stuff, especially in the reboot. He's very good at like leading people into kills.
He's very strategic.
Yeah, because he knows the area so well.
Yeah, unless you're the main character that can't die, then that kind of gets taken away. But with everyone else, it's fair game.
Can we just sit on that for a moment and how like Jason is just so good, unless he's doing BS teleportation. He's just so effective at being able to kill someone off in an instant. But when it comes to the main heroine, like he'll have her and he doesn't like instantly snap her neck or something. She like
it's the plot armor.
Yeah, she gets out like 3-4 times before she's finally able to kill him, and it's like by that point my fear of Jason has evaporated because he's been beaten by a scrawny 120-pound, lady.
Yeah. Like the only times I think that you could say like he faced like a reasonable opponent is maybe like obviously seven because the telepathic stuff, but then or telekinesis or whatever, and then Tommy in 4 because he's just trying to save his family, and then maybe 6. But I don't know.
Yeah, Tommy, played by Corey Feldman's probably for at least in the Friday the 13th franchise, not including the Freddy Krueger when he fights him. That's probably your best protagonist who could reasonably beat Jason in those circumstances.
Tommy's the FBI agent, right?
No, he's
Tommy Jarvis is the guy in 4 who he impersonates Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's the killer for that.
Yeah, at the end of 5, they sort of hint that he's going to become the next Jason, and then they just forget all of that in the next and Friday the 13th.
I know. Then he's just a perfectly fine guy who has a family.
He just gets arrested.
Yeah, he got over those issues. It's fine now.
Someone blows up Jason.
That's in 9.
That's in 9.
Wow.
God, there's so many. They all run together.
This sort of ties in of how has he changed over the years.
Oh, and also Jason X, they like have an RPG or whatever, and they blow him up.
Wow. Nick Brown, please continue.
Yeah, just that how he's changed over the years is his powers, his abilities change with each movie. Sort of like even who he's fighting, whether it be supernatural or not, that's how it changes. And then they haven't made a Friday the 13th movie since the remake, I think, which is unfortunate. We need more Jason. Come on.
I think it's the remake that killed the like classic slasher trope.
I would say like at the time probably, but as far as like slasher movies go, it's definitely not bad. And of course with Jason there's all sorts of copyright or whatever issues.
Yeah,
that's held up in a lawsuit.
Yeah, it's owned by like Paramount and another company. I forget what the name of it. But yeah, that's sort of why they haven't made any more movies for a while. Though it's just, even though he's a very iconic still to this day, they haven't just made any more movies. I think there's a Red Letter Media quote where I think it was Jay Bauman said the reason why the world's going bad is because we haven't had a Friday the 13th movie yet this decade.
So maybe that'll end the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
One thing that I've observed is that usually there's a remake of a specific remake or like just a latest sequel that has come out like very recently. It's kind of at least like not killed the series, but put it in hibernation for a while. With Freddy and Jason, why would you say that kind of their respective remakes / attempted reboots didn't really hit like audiences and didn't get a lot of a lot of good reception slash monetary success. Why would you say the reasons for that would be?
They didn't really. I would say they didn't care for the established, maybe not the sort of the established lore and the previous movies that came behind it. They didn't sort of pay homage to it. Not that's. I think that's why the Halloween remake succeeded in that regard, and that's why they're making the second one's going to come out next year. It was supposed to come out this year, but it got pushed back because of the quarantine and all that. But just to compare it to that new Halloween movie, is that the new Halloween paid a lot of homage to the other Halloween movies, and even one of the kills is straight up taken from I believe it was H2O, and just placed into that movie. So some of those kills were taken and reshaped and refit. It's like, hey, this kill was bad in that movie, but let's take it and improve it and make it effective. Although the new Halloween movie has its own share of issues, which we'll get into after this one.
Yeah, I know Evan Monroe. He did a video on it, and it's like the tonal inconsistency in that film is crazy.
Yeah, that's a big part. And there's a couple parts where they hurt Michael's character, but I'll hold off until we get to Michael.
Yeah. I would say about like Freddy and Jason, why the reboots didn't work. It's so the Nightmare on Elm Street one was totally unnecessary, especially if you're not going to bring in Wes Craven, which I don't think they did.
Well, I think Wes Craven might have been dead at the time. It was 2015 is when Wes Craven unfortunately passed away.
Yeah. I don't remember if he was involved in it at all, but it was just unnecessary. And like, why watch a remake of the original that's not as good? I would say like Jason, the Friday reboot, it kind of like the problem was it tried to take the first 4 movies and then present them as new, which to an extent is a problem, but it just I don't think it just had enough enthusiasm for it to stand out at all, which definitely hurts.
Yeah,
kind of a cash grab.
Yeah.
Yes, but like it's not like I wouldn't even say it's a bad movie. Like for a cash grab, like if it's a cash grab, it's definitely not very cynical. It just didn't promote itself well or something down the line in terms of getting people to want to see it.
It didn't really know what it wanted to do. Sometimes it's like, are you taking yourself too seriously, or are you going to be more campy like predecessors? And so it sort of fell into that sort of limbo. Didn't really know what to do, or at least it didn't push for one. It didn't go for either like really bad campy slasher or trying to take itself seriously like the first Halloween, for just to compare, did. And because it didn't sort of stick to its guns and pick one or other, sort of teeter line to try and be both, it didn't really work out too well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, like, so in terms of like maybe not like what are like some weaknesses of writing Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger? Like, what are some of the like pitfalls that a lot of like the writers fall into in terms of like kind of problems with the writing the character, problems or slash obstacles, if that makes sense.
What I think, like the main issue, though, with a lot of them, it seems like the issue is falling into their own tropes, because it's almost like they feel obligated to follow the same pattern with each movie. Like they have to make these characters this way, and have the villain act upon the characters in the same way, with only slight variations, so you can tell the difference between the movies.
Yeah, that, and I think sometimes it would be their power, like the power levels of these characters that is very inconsistent, especially when you're dealing with these characters that are very much can be overpowered if you don't write them right. Like Freddy, it's very hard to stop Freddy or kill him because you can't really do it. Same like Jason, they're very like unstoppable forces, and that can sometimes be a detriment when you're trying to find a way to defeat them. And then there's also each director kind of wants to put their own mark on the character's legacy, so they try to explain their backstory, and that ruins because everyone has the fear of the unknown, but trying to explain it, that kind of ruins it as well.
So, I suppose like I've heard a few like criticisms of Freddy versus Jason, but what would you say are like the structural problems / inherent flaws with a concept like Freddy versus Jason?
The characters are really bad and just kind of serve as like fodder for the main event, if you will. And of course, like there's some technical stuff, like they have really bad CGI, but the main thing is just if they wanted to do a Freddy versus Jason movie, they should have spent a lot more time writing it and making it seem less like contrived, but they didn't do that. They just wanted like, oh, we have the rights to Jason and Freddy, let's make a movie. And they didn't. It was a cash grab.
Mm-hmm. At least Freddy and Jason fought. When I first watched that movie, I was afraid they wouldn't even fight the entire movie, or it'd be a very anticlimactic fight, which it kind of was. But at least there was good moments, at least fun moments. I wouldn't say good, but there were fun moments in that movie.
So, is Jason X like an outlier? Jason in space? Like, what exactly is that?
It's
very I love meta. Jason X.
Meta.
I think that's the best one.
I forgot I even watched Jason X until you mentioned it. I started thinking back, did I watch that? Oh my god, I did. Like, remember the ending with the android Terminator thing or whatever? Was that Jason X? I don't know.
Yes. There's all sorts of stuff in there. Like there's like a female cyborg. There's like a
that was what she was.
Like a simulation camp, Crystal Lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes these bad movies, they just blend in, okay? When you watch so many of those horror movies, they all sort of like at some point, at least the bad ones, they sort of blend in. It's like, is it that one? That's why he seemingly can't die. They really should. All the studios should just come together and make the ultimate slasher villain fight fest. Get Michael versus Jason versus Freddy versus Hannibal versus Jigsaw versus Leprechaun versus Puppet Master versus Pumpkinhead. Just all of them. Just get them all together in one to fight.
I think we can do it for Leprechaun.
Battle Royale. Yeah. I think a Battle Royale would be pretty cool. But the whole Jake, the whole thing with the Jason being resurrected by the Necronomicon, didn't that only happen in the comics? I'm pretty sure that was like Ash.
I think that was
Ash versus 9. Jason versus Freddy.
Wow.
I think that was maybe 9 because in 6 he gets resurrected by a lightning bolt, and then in 7 there's some sort of weird telekinetic reason why he gets resurrected. I forget exactly.
I don't think the Necronomicon was mentioned in the mainline series.
I think you might be making a joke.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I thought it was a joke.
But like it is a plot. But like I believe that is the case in the comic book series, though.
There's so much lore behind this that it's just weird. Oh, that's very interesting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ooh. I'm now going to take a look at this. Things to look forward to read this Halloween.
Lovely. So now that we've mentioned him quite a bit, but now we get to talk about him in detail. I guess like I should have asked, like, what makes kind of Freddy and Jason kind of different from each other, and how do they differentiate themselves?
Freddy is way more vocal, and he has like a personality, and he lets you know who he is, whereas Jason is just silent. Like you can see body language, but there's nothing, and he just is persistent.
And by that count, how does Michael Myers differentiate himself from these other two and kind of stand out, aside from the Inside Out William Shatner mask?
He's a force of evil. I would say, like, Jason has some emotion where he's like the fear of water, his love for his mother. Michael does not. He's as described in the movie. I think at one point I pulled up the quote. He's almost a supernatural force, a force of nature, an evil force that's loose, that is unkillable. I think was the at least the quote. He's killable, but
yeah. In the first movie, he's just a dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what makes him cool. The first two movies, he's just a guy, which is exactly what he needs to be. Don't make Michael loses his touch when he becomes supernatural and all that. He just needs to be a guy. That's what makes him creepier, and is because he isn't like a demon or anything like that. At least they try and at one point like
they make him in a cult or whatever.
Yeah. There's like, oh, he's possessed by a demon, or at least that's like a theory in some of the cases. But that's what makes Michael sort of intimidating, though. Is just he's a guy that doesn't stop, and he will kill anyone and everyone in his path. It's like, doesn't matter who you are, what you are. It's if you're good, bad, he'll kill you.
So for usually teenagers and kids, Jason usually kills teenagers. What that are like promiscuous? What are like the reasons for Michael Myers killing? Where like what's his his profile as a slasher killer?
Well, Michael just kills because he wants to kill.
Yeah, not until they bring into the I forget the sister or niece thing in like the later movies.
The sister was the sister has been a part of it since the first movie.
Well, the
second one made Lori his sister.
Yeah, the weird connection between that. Like they try to give him a motivation in the second one, which is like, oh, that kind of ruins it. It's like there's no motivation by his kills. He's not trying to go after it, and he's just
really. I could have sworn that was in the first movie because
no, the first one is like so he kills his like actual biological sister.
Yeah.
And then that's in the intro, but the second one makes Lori basically be like the adoptive sister that came after Michael from the same family.
Yeah,
he kills his parents in the intro when he's a child.
No, that's his sister and her boyfriend.
Yeah, they killed the sister, boyfriend, and then the parents pulled the mask off of him, and he's crying, and they don't know why. They make it weird, and then cut to the famous John Carpenter music and the intro of the pumpkin.
I'm remembering this completely wrong.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like, sorry,
I was gonna ask, can someone actually like, what's the backstory behind Michael and like what are his abilities?
Michael is when he's 6 years old when he murders his older sister. I believe she's like 17 or whatever. Murders his sister Judith, and then they send him away to an asylum to be looked at after by Samuel Loomis, who's like the doctor who treats him, looks at him, and like Loomis essentially is like, this guy's evil. There is no, I've stared into the face of evil. This is him, evil personified. There's no hope for this guy. He doesn't talk. He refuses to talk. He never talks, and he gets out of the asylum, obviously, and just starts killing people for no particular reason. He just doesn't stop.
But there's a reason that he goes back to that specific place. Like that's where he used to live, right?
It's the same neighborhood, yeah.
Same neighborhood, yeah. That's where he goes. He doesn't go to the house where Loomis thinks he might go to, because that was, I think that was a plot point as well, where Loomis is waiting by the house and Michael never shows up.
Yeah, the Rob Zombie movies from like the past decade, they try to make a reason, but it's so confusing.
Yeah, the reason gets complicated, and it ruins sort of the mystique of the character when you try and give him a reason. What makes him creepy is he just kills. You can't talk him out of it. You can't compromise with him. He will just kill you.
Yeah, it's like just like how Ripley describes the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like there's no reasoning with them. There's no you can't use them. You can't talk to it. You can't talk to him. You can't reason with him. All he wants to do is kill.
I don't know, guys. I think you're.
I'd say it's kind of sorry to cut you off. I'd say that's a little different, just because like the aliens, they're just trying to procreate and do their thing, whereas Michael is just violent to be. Violent.
There's a clear difference. I was just saying, like there was like the Ripley's description was matching towards Michael.
Yeah, the aliens are all just natural selection. I was gonna say, I don't know about you guys. Don't you love a good backstory, like a mother shark who's coming for revenge for her son? Like, I mean, come on, it's riveting.
Oh, God,
sensational, really.
No, but on a serious note, I think Predator probably did it as good as possible. Where it turns out the predators have like a cultural like
reason.
They live for the hunt.
No, that's not true. They hunt autism.
Oh, why did you remind us, man?
New Predator movie.
All they want is the autism.
All they care about is the climate change and autism.
As a short person, I hate that movie so much.
I honestly wish that was a tasteless joke that people just came up with.
It is a tasteless joke. Are you kidding me?
It's just like, wow, you are Shane Black. Like, I lost a lot of respect for him after I realized that
I'm surprised you had any respect for him.
Well, Shane Black made what was it? The one with
Kiss Bang Bang or whatever.
Yeah, Kiss Bang Bang and Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling.
He made Kiss Bang Bang? What?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
It's weird.
Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly, Neph, and it happens, unfortunately.
It's a plot in the movie.
Yeah, that's canon. That's canon now.
Yeah, where they're just trying to like kill kids that have autism and suck their juice out.
The autism is a superpower.
Well, actually, specifically, it's Asperger's. But
She didn't even try and kill the kid. He just took him, put him in his ship. Like, you're in my jail now. Let's go. Good.
Yeah.
So much.
Secured the autism.
We'll talk about Predator and Alien some other time.
Yeah. Back on topic.
I did find the quote from the movie though, for where Dr. Sam Loomis describes Michael. I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, staring at a wall, not seeing the wall, looking past the wall, looking at this night, inhumanly patient, waiting for some secret silent alarm to trigger him off. Death has come to your little town. And that's sort of like the basic description of Michael by the one of the characters.
Yeah, Michael's really intimidating.
Just like he's the first slasher too.
Yeah.
If technically speaking, unless you want to count
Black Christmas or whatever.
No, Psycho is the first slasher.
Yeah,
I'm always going to give it to that one.
Yeah, unless you want to count Norman Bates from Psycho. But.
Yeah.
Doesn't that I watched the first Psycho movie, and then I read the Wikipedia synopsis for the second one.
The third is best,
and they're I can't like speak to their quality, but just like the mechanics, it just seems as though they over and over retcon like his origins, like his mommy and daddy. Like
that changes constantly between some of those movies. Yeah, Wise Wolf. Yep.
No, you didn't mishear us. It's true. That is the canon reason why they hunt people.
Canon until they scrap that Predator movie and try again.
God, I hope they don't try again. I don't want it. I just want to stick to the one Predator movie, and that is it.
The first Predator.
The third one is okay.
Yeah, I kind of liked Predators.
Yeah, I like the third one. Third one's good.
Come on, guys, we got to reboot the franchise.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, only the first two. Only the first two count. You know,
I want another one.
Yeah, this is T3 the way it should have been done, guys. Come on now.
The two things I like from Predator 2 is that Bill Paxton's in it, so now we can say he was in the Predator, Alien, and Terminator under his belt. That's an impressive filmography right there. And then I like the end where he throws the Predator throws him the flintlock pistol, showing how long the Predators have been hunting Earth.
The second one is actually not too bad.
I would agree. I think Predator 2 was pretty bad.
It's been a while since I've watched it, so I don't. The fact that it's like the only two things I remember liking, that I don't know.
To be fair, I only remember the ending, and then also the scene where they're in like the big fridge area. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, where I forget his name. He's the. Let me look it up. But
So-
I know what you're talking about. Where they're in that freezer with the meat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Gary
Um,
Busey.
So with Michael, how is he? Why? So like he's kind of enduring mostly because he's kind of a force of nature and he's very unpredictable. Would you say that those seem to be the main things? Is there anything else that's part of that?
well, I was going to say as a description for like between these three, I would describe Freddy as the unstoppable force, Jason as the immovable object, and Michael as a just nature taking its course.
I would say that like Mike, so Jason, he can be like very brutal, but he doesn't really care that much. Like Michael, if Michael's trying to kill you, he wants you dead.
Yeah, he's not trying to make it like a strategic kill or very gruesome or bloody. It's just the means at his disposal. He will do it.
Yeah,
Whether it just be a quick knife to the gut or smashing your head in against the wall. It's whatever.
He kills everyone. Like he eats a dog in the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
survive.
I hated that part. The dog.
In China, you do what the Chinese do. Am I right?
So he's not necessarily like as exotic, I guess.
No,
He's just a blank slate.
Well, not until later.
Yeah, but that's what makes him creepy though, is and sort of iconic. I would say is there's no motive, really, no rhyme or reason to what he's doing. It's just he's doing it. Can't stop him.
Honestly, I would have been really happy if they stuck to the original Halloween format that they were going to do with Halloween 3. Like I know Halloween 3 wasn't very good, but them doing a different
great.
Halloween 3, but I know what you're saying. Where they tried to do a
anthology.
Halloween story every Halloween. So
just a new Halloween story every Halloween. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah, they just picked a really bizarre one to go with. It was kind of bad. There's androids walking around, and robots, and there's also the masks that make your kid's face go in. It was just a very bizarre way to go about starting your anthology. It's called Season of the Witch. There is no witch. There's a rock.
I think there's a mask of a witch, though. I think
there's a witch mask and a pumpkin mask. That's about it. The best thing from that movie is that stupid jingle.
Oh my god!
13 days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 13 days to Halloween.
Shamrock Company or whatever, right?
Yeah, the Shamrock Company. Oh god, see, it's a really bad movie, but it's so bizarre.
I think like the ending was really strong though. With everybody, just everybody dies.
Yeah, everyone dies. I liked because he's like, turn it off, and then just cuts. It's like perfect.
I like it, but it's unfortunate that they made Carpenter make a sequel to the original.
Yeah,
that messed up the whole plan.
It messed up the feng shui.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting question. What's your guys' thoughts? Like, have slasher movies kind of gone the way of kind of just getting really like adopting the woke philosophy?
Or has, but I don't know about slasher.
I don't know if that's even possible to do.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I guess to compare to the recent slasher movie, the most recent one that has come out, that is the Halloween remake, and I don't recall there being any like woke things from it yet. There's some stupid tonal shifts. I think it's trying to adopt some of that Marvel humor, but I don't think it's become woke.
If anything, I feel like Jason would kill a racist.
Jason would kill a racist. Yeah, it's like,
Jason would kill anyone.
Yeah, it's like I think he would kill anyone. A racist doesn't matter.
So like the best description for Jason I've heard is psychopathic Shrek. Get out of my swamp.
Get out of Crystal Lake.
That's a great movie. I'd watch that.
I think that part of it is just like woke people just hate slashers just in general because cruelty to women usually.
That's probably why we haven't seen many. Then
Yeah, I think that's the reason. I think that's why they haven't gone woke, because they can't go woke.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, like more men are killed in slasher movies than women.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and women are like the ones that survive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one.
They're very traumatized at the end.
Yeah, the token.
You can't have that in this day and age.
It's so toxic.
I know. Slashers are already woke enough, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it kind of that, like, how has he kind of changed over the years? And, like, I guess, like, a good question might be, like, how is, like, the Rob Zombie movies in comparison to the rest of the series? Because he's kind of, the Rob Zombie seemed to be the new introduction to the series. Like, it's a reboot, and there's 2 of them. And
yeah.
What were they good? Were they bad? I've heard bad things, but what are you guys?
They're terrible.
Like Michael is way more brutal in those movies because he's like he's literally like a massive man in that. They try to do some stuff. They do some retcons that don't go over great. I haven't seen them, but like I've seen reviews of them, and they try to force stuff in there. Of course, after part 3, the series kind of went weird because you have the cult elements, and then you have a movie with Paul Rudd in there.
There's the problem with the Halloween. There's so many of them, and it's hard to keep track. I think how many? I'll look. There is a ton. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Paul Rudd is in a Halloween film.
Yes, it's I think it's not the one after.
I'm watching that.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
Yeah, as of right now, there's 11 Halloween movies. There's going to be Halloween Kills 2021, and then Halloween Ends. So that makes 13. There's going to be 13 Halloween movies at least.
So wow, that's a long-running series. But
yeah.
Isn't like Rob Zombie's wife like a stripper in one of those?
Yes. That's in their first one.
I imagine that's like, what does that says some weird stuff about Mr. Zombie.
Rob Zombie.
Also, it's,
are you
his
familiar
mom.
with?
It's Michael Myers' mom.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Rob Zombie's movies at all?
The filmography.
Are you familiar with Sherry Moon Zombie?
Yeah, it's Rob
she
Zombie.
loves doing that.
Yeah, Rob Zombie's movies are not good. Rob Zombie movies, they're not good. They are really.
Have you seen his animated movie though? What was that? What was that movie?
Rob Zombie wasn't the one who did Dawn of the Dead. Am I mistaken on that?
No. I don't think so.
No, he did do Dawn of the Dead. The remake Dawn of the Dead, because that was Zack Snyder who did the remake.
No, the original.
The original, that's George Romero.
Oh, okay, that was the name I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But like, Sherry Moon Zombie like loves it. Really?
Yes, like every time she's in one of his projects, she always plays that part.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he tries to reuse the same actress for each one, I believe.
But like she was in his animated movie. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
I can look it up right now.
Which, by the way, I actually found hilarious, and I would recommend you all checking it out. I can't tell you if it's good or not, but you might at least find it funny.
I'll give him that. His movies are bad, but they are so bad they're funny.
He makes films.
I don't know if you qualify them as films, but they're something, all right.
Okay, I found it. The Haunted World of El Superbeasto is an adult animated musical superhero comedy film directed and co-produced by Rob Zombie.
Sorry, what is it called again?
The Haunted World of El Superbeasto.
I love that. I'm not kidding you guys. I love that movie. You should check it out.
That sounds like he just kind of embraces the meme of who he is. That's pretty much
he knows what he is and he goes for it. And it's like, good for you, man.
Cherry Moon Zombie is a secret agent stripper with a robot sidekick that has like a mechanical penis that she uses to do different things.
Secret agent stripper 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cinema.
Yeah,
So,
Rob Zombie movies sound like movies that you would show to just to his friends and family, but somehow someone got a hold of them. It's like, let's put them to the public. Mistakes.
Give me the zombie cut.
So other than like the kind of slow shift toward more supernatural stuff, like I imagine like since the mask, it seems like it basically is like the source of his power, or at least like it's where his soul is trapped, and that anybody who puts it on will kind of become Michael Myers. Is that correct? How else has he kind of changed? I guess.
When was that?
Wait, that's a thing?
I don't
I
know.
know there's the cult.
That's-
I know there's the cult, and they try and like recruit people.
Oh, that might have been the cult one then. I remember that sounds more like that was a Goosebumps plot where a Goosebumps episode where they put on a mask and they become the monster.
That does sound like a Goosebumps plot.
I just remember hearing that like it's basically like you can't kill Michael Myers while he like wears the mask, I guess. But once you take the mask off, like he's more vulnerable. Is that correct, or is that completely off
I
base?
don't think like he's ever had his mask off, and like outside of the Rob Zombie movies.
The
other
remake.
than that one.
What does he look like under the mask?
No one knows. That's never. I don't think that's ever revealed.
He
Even
has a scarred eye or whatever because of Lori, but
yeah, that's as much as he sees in the.
they take off his mask in the beginning of 2018 Halloween.
Yeah, but yeah, you never see his face in that one. Yeah, the guy from Vikings was in that one. He fought in the bathroom. He fought Michael Myers without the mask. Clearly, it didn't work out too well for him because
they spoiled that too much in the trailers.
Yeah, that was. But speaking of, I guess if we're talking enduring over the years, going to the remake, sort of that one was the one that was the more successful one, comparing to all the other remakes that have come out of the other slasher movies, and
it had a sequel one.
Yeah, I mean they're getting 2 sequels, so they did something right. At least they were successful, but they did pay a lot of homages to the other Halloween movies, such as like some lines like, "Oh, Lori was her sister." It's like, no, that's a fabricated lie. But and then there's like the bathroom scene that was taken from H2O, I believe. That was like almost scene for scene, aside from him dropping the teeth over the bathroom stall to the girl.
Okay.
And they did, I would say, that one did do. They had the bad things with the comedic tonal shifts in that movie, and it kind of hurt Michael Myers' character in some ways, such as they did the stupid thing of putting a baby there was a baby in a crib in one of the houses that he goes through, and he chooses not to kill the baby, which is like, no one wants to see a baby die, but you put him in that situation, he's going to kill the baby. He'll quickly just snap its neck or throw it against the wall. But it's like that's what Mike Myers would do, and it's like you don't put him in that situation and have him choose not to kill the baby. Or with the kid, the babysitter is watching, he had plenty of opportunities to kill the kid, and it's like I don't.
Sorry to cut you off. He even kills another kid earlier in the movie.
Yeah, it's like and they didn't really want him to kill a kid again. It's like he would do it. He had plenty of time to kill that kid, and he would have.
I would love that quick half a second jump cut of a plastic baby getting thrown on a wall.
It definitely would have shocked audiences for sure, and I think it would have made the movie better just because like, oh my god, he did that. Michael Myers really did that. It would have definitely messed with the people's minds, and it would have added more to the horror effect. And it's in character to Michael, and him not killing that one kid at the end or near the middle. I don't remember the kid's name, but he made some jokes like, "Oh shit!" starts running away while the other girl's getting killed. It's like, no, it's not. Like, am I supposed to laugh or be sad that this babysitter's getting massacred while the kid's booking it?
We need comedic relief.
What are some other kind of changes that have occurred, like to Michael Myers?
Well, the remake made him back to sort of being a human. He's no longer like like with the cult ones, or when I think he might have been in hell at one point. I can't remember.
Didn't Jason go to hell at one point?
I mean, Freddy and Jason did. I think Freddy did.
Yeah.
Didn't he? Yeah, Freddy and Jason both did. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think they were just trying to jump on that train because everybody else was going to hell.
Well, there's the Jason. Isn't the title of the movie Jason Goes to Hell?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like Freddy's glove drags his mask or something.
Yeah. They get complicated.
Yeah.
More so than they probably should be.
Yeah, and like, wasn't that kind of the thing of, oh my gosh, Jason and Freddy are gonna fight, and it hyped people up for Freddy versus Jason, and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Anything else on Michael Myers that you would like to get to before we move on to our fourth and final guy?
I would actually like to, before we get to him, I would like to pose one question to everybody, not specifically about Michael Myers, but for all of the for the previous three. If you guys had a chance to remake each of these movies or one of these movies, like what would you do differently?
That's a difficult question.
I didn't want to ask this during what's his name?
Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to ask this about Hannibal because I wouldn't remake his movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch. Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch the Michael Myers, the first Halloween movie. I would say I would probably be if I was going to remake one, it would be probably the Friday the 13th, just because.
Yeah, Friday, part 1 and part 2. I definitely want to remake. I would remake those films in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because like Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't want to touch that first movie. It's gold. Like Halloween, it's gold. Don't touch it. Don't mess it up any further. Just like leave me. But
exactly. Other than the other Friday the 13th, is the only one that like the original wasn't a great film. So
yeah, the first one, none of the films have really been like standing out or like. I mean, like if we're looking like objectively, haven't been good.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, they're fun movies, but objectively speaking, like, oh no.
There's some craft problems.
Yeah, like the best images are technically impressive, but
the thing that Elm Street got right, that at least the original got right, and a couple of them, I believe, that like Friday the 13th never did, was the characters, and I'd always wish they like went back in there and gave those characters some type of, I don't know, some type of agency, some type of
That's a good point, because I can remember all, like in the first movies for Nightmare and Halloween, I can remember the main characters. I can't say the same for Friday the 13th outside of Kevin Bacon, but that's just because he's Kevin Bacon, and it's fun to look back and it's like,
her name is Alice, by the way, the main heroine of the first one, and they do her dirty in the opening scene of the second movie.
I hate that they behead her. They behead her in the first 5 minutes of that movie. It's like,
no, but it starts off with that contrived
I hate
nightmare thing where they literally just play the ending of the first film over again, but they don't even do it in an interesting way, where like they have it through her POV. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
but it's just
that would require effort.
I know. Then somehow Jason gets into her house and she doesn't hear anything. Oh,
in the city. It's like not even in the outback or anything like that. It's like in the city, in an apartment, a very crowded. It's like, how would you be able to do that?
6'5" gargoyle looking dude somehow in the middle of the city is able to get into her house and kill her and get out. And nobody sees her.
Jumps through the window, doesn't he?
Like 7 foot though.
Oh, he is 7 foot, isn't he? Even worse.
Wow.
So, okay. So then, how would we then specifically make a Jason movie? How would we do Friday the 13th?
I think that probably it would be like kind of have a mix. Probably be like having a mix of bad and good kids to get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first thing, but that's kind of just me speaking just as a writer. Also, like making consistent rules for how Jason's powers work, as
Yep.
well as I think I might even like have a like human side villain as kind of a red herring.
I was gonna say the same thing. Have be like the mother, or maybe it's Jason halfway through, and then either one of them gets defeated. They think it's over, and then the rest of the film is dealing with either Jason or the mother. Something like that. That make it a little bit. You still have that twist, because that was the big thing for the original Friday the 13th. Is there was no Jason. It was the mother who did it. It was kind of a mystery. Like, who did it? It's like, oh, it's the mother. Strange.
I thought it'd always be interesting if we could do a Home Alone-esque situation where you have people trapped in a house trying to keep Jason out while the police are on their way, and it's kind of like a ticking time bomb.
Sounds like the game.
Yeah, basically, sort of like that. Yeah.
You just can't have it where it's the cliche of the cops get there and they lose immediately. They have to win.
I know, it's always one cop by themselves being an idiot, and they get killed off. And like you think that would
folded like a lawn chair or something.
You think that would alarm like the other police? I think in the first one they actually do it right though, because like it's in a small town and there's only like one station, and it's so far from Crystal Lake. So
yeah, cops. I don't remember if the cops show up in that movie. Not until like the end, where it's like all the cops are there scurrying out the area looking for the killer, and like, oh, where's Jason? Like, because she says like, oh, there's someone in the lake. There wasn't anyone in the lake. We didn't find anyone in the lake.
I actually always loved the POV shot that they would give Jason and his mother right before they killed someone. But I thought it was BS how in the first one his mom just kills off that first girl who's like really innocent and who just got to Crystal Lake. She's going to be a counselor. And she gets in the car with the mom, and she never like mentions anything that would indicate to the audience that the killer is a female. Like the dialogue is written in a horrible way where we totally should know who the killer is, but
the cliche.
It's so cliche.
It's you who did.
I know. It's like, who is you? Who is you? What are you talking about?
It's the Scooby-Doo type ending, I guess. So now we're moving on to kind of somebody different who is a murderer, but he's a very different type of murderer. Hannibal Lecter. So I've seen the entirety of the Hannibal TV show, and I've seen Silence of the Lambs, but I haven't seen any of his other movies. Apparently the prequel is bad. Apparently Red Dragon is really good, and
I would say Manhunter is better than Red Dragon.
I actually disagree. I watched both of them. I like Red Dragon better.
Red Dragon's on the list. I have to watch Red Dragon. I've seen Silence of the Lambs. I think I have the book of Silence of the Lambs as well that I need to read. And then I've watched first episode of Hannibal Show.
Ooh, you're in for a treat, dude.
It's a great 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Are they making a season 4? I've heard rumors about that.
That's up in the air.
It's up in the air. Like, a lot of people really, really want it, and since like Netflix has picked it up, they're like, yeah. And this is like solid. Like, I think that Hannibal Lecter, like out of these 4, his characteristic is that he is it's very different in terms of how Anthony Hopkins plays it as opposed to Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen is less of a troll than Anthony Hopkins is. Anthony Hopkins is definitely more of a troll. I think partially because Mads Mikkelsen is less bored in a lot of like his seasons.
And he also has like he just plays him differently. Like you get much more of a sense that he's like European and foreign than you do with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Is the Hannibal show more adaptive of the books, I think?
It's based off basically the first book. They try to like bring in elements from Silence of the Lambs, but they can't do that because they didn't have rights to it. They also I think they incorporated some stuff from
Red Dragon,
like the Hannibal book, but
because Red Dragon is a prequel, isn't it?
It's the original one.
Yeah, because Silence of the Lambs is the end.
Well, Silence of the Lambs came first. Red Dragon is the third movie to come out, but it's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. I mean, like chronologically speaking, Silence of the Lambs would be like the end.
No, Hannibal is the end.
Oh, Hannibal is the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one that had that came out in 2000. The movie.
Most people don't like that. Like I saw that Nostalgia Critic review, and I don't really remember much of it, but it's kind of just like bad. It wasn't good by all accounts.
Yeah, I know Anthony Hopkins like regretted starring in some of the sequels. At least that's what like one of his quotes. He did not like that.
Yeah, I think Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon are the only ones that are really memorable.
Yeah.
What was the other one though? There's
Hannibal
3.
Rising, which is a prequel.
No, not okay.
Manhunter, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs are apparently the good ones. Though with Silence of the Lambs, that one was freaky. Especially Buffalo Bill is just a terrifying bad guy. And that's the interesting part. Like I didn't realize that Hannibal Lecter is kind of just this chaotic evil type as the main bad guy.
Yeah, I would call it more lawful evil.
Yeah,
he's controlled evil.
Yeah.
He doesn't like people who are impolite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does have very strict rules for Clarice to do.
Yeah.
When coming in to interview, and it's funny how he helps her get what she wants, fulfills some of that ambitions. It's really interesting. Their sort of dynamic there, and how like Hannibal isn't the main villain. It's Buffalo Bill, like you said. He's just sort of there, using the situation to his own advantage.
And just Buffalo Bill, just his construction as a character in comparison to Hannibal is just like, oh, this person.
Yeah, like Buffalo Bill's creepy.
It's the opposite of each other.
He wouldn't be made on like network TV now. I can maybe see HBO, but not like NBC or whatever.
Because he's technically trans, so
yeah. At least we'll try to make it
not a good light.
That he's not trans. That he's technically not trans, but he's got like more of agoraphilia or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know the technical term of it.
Yeah, as opposed to being like strict trans, where he's more like attracted to the idea of himself as a woman.
I mean, he tried to get, like they said, he tried to get surgery and was like declined or whatever.
Yeah, because like he was like not mentally stable enough to go through the transition.
But like it's clear to see like why it would never be picked up today.
No, they would not do that. They would get so much outcry from.
So problematic.
Well, Netflix. Yeah. Well, if Netflix is picking up Hannibal, then no worries. Netflix doesn't care.
Yeah, Netflix
they do whatever.
Money. They have infinite money practically. But with body problem, they are
do, but I don't know if they would want to do that. Like, I don't know.
And apparently Netflix also has like zero what was it called? They have zero quality control for one.
Yeah, Netflix, it's one of those like you get hired by Netflix, they don't interfere. They just like do whatever. Do whatever sometimes, but
I
like
don't clearly don't care.
I don't know if I'd say that.
I mean, like
I'd say they like some of their choices. Like there is a reason they signed off on Cuties. Like
yeah, that's bad. But like for Last Kingdom, they didn't touch it. Like what you did worked. Here's the money. Do whatever. Like a couple of shows been picked up. Like Lucifer, that was another one where Netflix was like, here's the money. Keep doing what you're doing. We won't touch it.
Or crap. I just want to know the name of the exec who sat there and watched Cuties and signed off on it, thinking it was a good idea.
Or the Dracula 2020 miniseries. That one was bad.
Oh no! Don't bring that up again.
Yeah,
miniseries. I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, we recorded commentary, so this is just kind of a side announcement. So any recordings of commentary, we are not going to be able to put it up on YouTube, but I'm going to test out putting it up on Patreon. So that if you want to contribute to the show and just pay like $5 a month, you can basically watch all of the commentaries that we provide. That's the plan that I'm currently working with, since I don't know if I'd be able to put like the Underworld commentary or the Rise of the Lycans commentary they're recording tonight, or the Van Helsing commentary that we're doing the night after. So
those are the movies with all the most attractive werewolves.
yeah,
That's why I watched them.
Yeah.
Twilight was better.
No, no, they didn't do anything better.
Hey, the first Twilight was like, it was all right.
Crapula 2020.
Crapula 2020. What? I guess like before we leave, like Nick Brown, what were your thoughts on the Crapula series?
I couldn't get through that. I watched bits of it, and I'm like, no. I think I watched the first episode, and I was like, I was so done with it at the end with the Van Helsing twist. Not I guess twist, but it's like, oh my god, no.
Oh, you just don't appreciate quality.
Or
Apparently,
the ending. Well, and also the ending, like I think we talked about on the stream of basically like all of Dracula's weaknesses are placebos.
yeah. Oh god, no. That's just.
I now want to watch these movies with you and record your these series with you and record your reaction because I think it would be hilarious.
I think so too. You would definitely just hear me cringing in the back, like, no, please, no more, stop. It's dead already. He's dead.
Yeah,
but that's the best part.
How the story was told.
Yeah.
Oh, Dracula Untold, where they blind themselves. Men cannot feel what they cannot see.
They just get slaughtered anyway. They basically have infinite troops until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I haven't seen this series. What happens when they say you cannot bear what you cannot see? Like,
They blind themselves.
Yes, this one is a hard cut to them all blindfolded, marching through mountains to this castle.
Yeah, this is Dracula Untold movie. It's not the show.
Apparently pretty bad. But his character, I think like the main thing that's telling, like when that like guy is like yelling like I can smell you, and then he like frantically masturbates and throws semen in Clarice's face.
Oh yeah.
Like that's like, and then Hannibal calls her back and I'll help you out. That was terrible. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love that part.
And then causes the guy to swallow his tongue.
Yeah, but like Hannibal has like a sort of a sense of code.
Yeah.
Or he helps her out.
It's just decorum.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
And then
his escape, man.
And then he screws with those people just to like by giving them an anagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hilarious.
Yeah, but his escape plan, that was ingenious.
Where just I really was surprised because I watched Hannibal before I watched Silence of the Lambs, kind of because I wanted to get like a Hannibal fix again, and I was very interested in how like Mads Mikkelsen versus Anthony Hopkins played things. It was very intriguing to see the differences.
That's interesting. I've watched Silence of the Lambs first, and now I'm going to Hannibal, so we'll see how the reactions differ.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Once you get finished with season 1, hit me up and I'll set up a stream where we can talk about it, since that sounds like it would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'd say season 1 is
definitely
probably the most watchable, but 2 is probably the best. And then 3 is kind of Red Dragon.
It's kind of like the last like 4 to 5 episodes is Red Dragon, I think.
Yeah, because prior to that, it's kind of like the first half of that season is a bit like Hannibal, where he's in Europe, and he's just killing people because. But
yeah, but like it seems as though his main ability is that he is kind of he actually likes helping the police catch criminals because he likes the problem solving aspect.
I don't even think it's that. It's he wants you hear his psychiatrist or whatever talk about he wears a person suit. He wants to like he's like Patrick Bateman in a way. He wants to fit in.
Yeah, that I don't know how that fits with him escaping, cutting off the man's face, and pretending to be a cop. That was in the Silence of the Lambs. That was awesome.
Hey, I'm only fitting in, guys. Come on
Yeah.
now. What did I do wrong?
His pulse never going up too. That's a big thing.
Also, like it's funny because like I remember that scene of him cutting off a person's face and wearing it, and then I remember Batwoman. It's like the difference between those, like he does it so well in that because like you can't even tell that's not him because what he does is that he pretends that his face was all cut up.
Yeah, mutilated. Yeah, it's not a clean cut. It's like he pretends like he's been beaten through Kingdom Come essentially.
It's just like, oh god, he's holding his face on the entire time, like he's walking out.
Yeah. The music in that scene too is just everything. That whole escape scene is like so perfect.
It does seem as though like he's enduring mostly because like he's chaotic and unpredictable, and he's able to
go ahead.
kind of be very like versatile because it seems like Silence of the Lambs is like you see Silence of the Lambs, you see him after he's been caught versus Hannibal where you see him kind of pre being caught, where he's working with the police to kind of profile killers.
It's very interesting. Hannibal, because at least Hannibal you could reason with. Like you could have a normal conversation with Hannibal, and you would probably never know that he was a killer.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't even kill you.
Yeah,
and he just kind of like will cut up and eat people who are rude or people who
get in the way.
Like,
or just like people that he just doesn't like because at the beginning of Red Dragon he eats there's a certain person in like the concert because like they were fucking up and that just kind of pissed him off. They fucked up a part of the concert, so he killed him.
Yeah, they do a reference to that in season 1 of Hannibal, but it's not him doing that.
What?
They do a reference to him, like the concert bit. There's a reference to that in one of the episodes of Hannibal, season 1.
Because like it was at the beginning of Red Dragon. That's actually how they catch him. Because he pretty much just comes out and says it. It's like, well, I killed that one guy because he was awful.
What are some other characteristics that he has that we haven't mentioned quite yet, or do you feel like we've covered those?
His
I guess
sophistication. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I was gonna say, depending on who you talk about, for Anthony Hopkins, the voice, his sort of accent he has is very like. Sometimes it's off-putting, in a way. I don't know. It's just weird. Like I can't even replicate it properly. But like, hello,
yeah, so good.
Yeah, but he and I've noticed from Mads Mikkelsen's too is like they both got the eyes right, where they're sort of unblinking. They're always just sort of staring directly at you.
Yeah.
And you can see it a lot more in the show than you do in the movies, probably even the books. There's a level of like sophistication to him. He fits so well into society.
So what I'm gathering is that the show is actually pretty good.
Especially on like a visual and musical level, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I've only seen the first. Yeah, I've only seen the first episode, and I was like, all right. You got me, show. I'm hooked.
Yeah, same.
I'm gonna watch it then.
So, when does it take place in relation to the movies? I've only seen Silence of the Lambs.
It's before.
Yeah, before. That's why I think that's what I was asking if Silence of the Lambs is like sort of chronologically, if that's the end especially for like the show, because that's probably where
the show ends at Red Dragon because that's where the series was canceled.
Okay.
But is it on Netflix?
It is
yes. All
Okay,
3 seasons.
Yep, and possible 4th if Netflix picks it up, which I think I heard rumors that they did. That's why I was like, I don't know if the rumors are true or not.
That'd be cool. I do know that like as like I watched it, like I was just like I just wanted to binge this whole show and like I just like, yep, next episode, next episode, next episode. I was very happy that I didn't have to wait week by week because it was just like I just like ate it up. It was great.
But okay, so who said they liked Manhunter more than Red
I did.
Dragon? Okay, what
I
would
like
you
it
like
more
about
for the
Manhunter?
80s. Like I like the 80s atmosphere of it more than even though the Red Dragon is better cast. Manhunter feels more like a believable movie. To be honest.
That's interesting. It's like with Red Dragon, it was the characters that really sold me on it because they seem a lot of them seem like real. Well, especially like the detective, because he
Will Graham.
seemed, yeah, he seemed. Part of how the detective was written in the books is that he was supposed to be kind of crazy himself, and that's why he was so
Yes,
good.
that's split on a lot in the show, like a lot.
It kind of seemed like Will Graham in the show is just seemed as though he's ever so slightly on the spectrum. At least like just,
he is. There isn't like a diagnosis, but he's somewhere.
Yeah, I did think they made him a little too good in Red Dragon, but I still liked him as like his casting. I thought was still good. He was.
Ed Norton's really good. I need to watch it since I love Edward Norton and I like Ray Fiennes, just because Ray Fiennes is a really great actor.
It was the killer that really sold it for me. I thought he was excellent in Red Dragon and Manhunter. He was pretty boring.
Yeah, Manhunter is like it's not as engaging as Red Dragon, but if you read the books, it's a lot closer. Like the guy that plays Hannibal in there is not trying nearly like to be as standout as Anthony Hopkins was.
Yeah,
but
it's Cox, right?
Yeah, Brian Cox.
Brian Cox, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Brian Cox is like he's very
Brian Cox is a very known actor. I was like, whoa, was not expecting to hear his name.
Yeah. It seemed like he's kind of separate from the other three that we discussed, and like he's not like necessarily as supernatural as these other guys, or it seems like he's rooted more in real world fear as opposed to kind of more supernatural horror.
Yes, definitely.
I would like to bring up another slasher. What about Leatherface? What do you guys think about him?
Oh, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It depends on the. They've tried to remake that and reboot that series so much.
It's suffered from probably what Freddy and Jason has with the remakes.
Yeah, it was like the first one that got a bunch of remakes.
It doesn't
have a lot of sequels though. It's mostly just remakes. It has like a couple sequels.
Yeah, and then there's the one with like Matthew McConaughey.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, number 4. That's my favorite.
All right. Let's get this thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd say like the first two ones from like obviously the 70s, and I think the second one's from the early 80s are good, and you can see like the dynamics of the Sawyer family and how like Leatherface is kind of just like this workhorse but doesn't get respected.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the new movies, I have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah, I've seen one of the new movies. I think Dean Norris was in it too from Breaking Bad. He played Hank Schrader. I think he was like a cop or something. I can't remember if that was, or I'm thinking of something completely else entirely. It might be, but definitely, I would just stick with like for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Just stick with the first one. First one's good. And then the rest of them I completely forget.
I just gotta say, I've only seen Massacre 4, and I just love that movie so much. Although it's horrendous, but I just love it so much for McConaughey just going to like
He
Just going
tried.
to a
I'll
crazy
give you
level.
that. He
That one
tries.
you watch for the memes.
It
Yeah.
is a great movie if you need memes.
Yeah.
Well,
You should check it out.
I think that concludes things. Thank you to my guests, Nick Brown, the Gino, Cotta Wolf, and JLL. Thank you so much for coming on and discussing horror films. I think just one last thing. What are like some favorite? Can each of you name a favorite moment of each of these four films? Start with Nick Brown and then go in the circle.
Ooh, well, Hannibal is obviously it's the escape scene where he escapes and that whole thing. I went on about that. For Michael Myers, it would be the first Halloween at the end where he just disappears. They turn around and the music plays and he's gone. It's like, where did he go? For Freddy, it might be it's cliche, but it might just be the end of it. He's not even where you think the character Nancy, you think she won, and then she gets in the car and it's like, oh no, she lost. The Freddy theme starts playing and he takes the mom into the house and it's like, oh, that's kind of creepy. It's like it caught me off guard when I first watched it when I was younger. It's like, oh man.
Doesn't he reach to a mirror or something?
Yeah, the practical effect in that is so bad.
Yeah, the practical effect in that was kind of bad, but I remember when I watched it when I was younger, it's just like, oh my god.
Okay.
Freddy won. And then for Jason, oh man. That's difficult. That's a difficult one. Trying to think of, I don't know. That Jason he doesn't really have like a standout like moment at least that's not pretty funny.
Or at least maybe like of these individual franchises. That could also be it.
Yeah, because if we're going for individual franchises, then it would be Friday the 13th Part 5, where just any scene where that dang aggressive dude from that home just outright murders some just autistic kid for no reason. It was just so funny. It just came out of nowhere.
Maybe he was a predator.
He was a predator. It's like, oh my god! Thinking about it now, I'm just chuckling to myself because we watched that with a group of friends, and that was just so funny. We all were like, "What just happened? What is going on?" It's so funny.
Alrighty, the Gino, please.
Nick definitely stole mine when it came to Mike Myers and the Hannibal series. If we're talking Freddy, it would probably have to be when Freddy gets lit on fire in the original, because that was just an amazing stunt. But
that was good too.
Yeah, man, stunt it's just crazy. He actually got lit on fire, and he was on fire for a while too, running around and trying to perform. I don't think he was performing. I mean, he was just being how you would if you were actually lit on fire. And for Jason, probably have to go with Jason. I'd probably have to go for part 2. If it would either be the guy in the wheelchair getting macheted in the face and then just falling backwards down the stairs.
Like 2 minutes straight.
Like
just
2 minutes straight, and then it does the white flash. Or I would probably have to pick before he gets killed. The guy in the wheelchair and the girl are playing cards or whatever game they're playing.
Strip poker.
And yeah, strip poker. And he's like, all right, what are we playing for next? And she's like, position. So that's probably it for those.
Alrighty, Jonathan.
I would say definitely the whole thing with Michael Myers disappearing in the original is the standout moment to me. For Hannibal Lecter, I would say the moment in season 2 where there's I don't want to spoil it, but there's a confrontation in his house. That's like it gets shown in the first episode, and then you see it later on.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a very good moment. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Then for Freddy, I don't know. I would say probably I really like the part where one where he gets burnt up, but then the part where like he tries to kill Nancy and then she just like stops being afraid of him, even though that's not a great moment for him. That's probably the standout moment of the series to me. For Jason, I don't know. I'm gonna say probably the way he comes back in 6, and he just like there's a whole part in like a truck or a van where he just like overturns it and then it blows up.
Is that the one where Tommy comes to his grave?
It's after it. Yeah, like it's in that movie, but it's after it. I think he like shoves someone's face into like a door or something.
Mm-hmm.
I guess me. So for me, with Michael Myers, it's all those moments where you see him in the background, not technically doing anything, but like at the very like near the beginning of the movie, where like he'll just be standing in the background and then just move out of camera. Those were my favorite parts. But with Jason, I would say when he kicked the boombox, that was my favorite. I love that. But let's see, with Freddy, I'm not sure about Freddy. I don't think I have a particularly favorite moment. He was never my favorite slasher. And then with Hannibal, I don't think I could pick. I just absolutely adore Hannibal. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I like change my Michael Myers moment? There's a part in the original where like he stabs someone up against the refrigerator, and then he just like tilts his head, almost like a dog. But he just overpowers this one guy without even trying.
Oh yeah, that was a cool moment. Like he's kind of like when he's watching the person die, and he's almost curious about it.
Yeah,
like, it's like, oh, so this is what it looks like.
They die now? They die now.
Okay.
What about your favorite moment, Dunn? Do you have any?
I have not seen the only movie of these I've seen is Silence of the Lambs. I have not seen any of these movies. I just mostly asked you guys to come on because I wanted to talk about it.
Well, what about Hannibal?
Just Silence of the Lambs. That's the only thing.
Wow.
Done. You have work to do.
I have a long list.
It is October. This is the time to do it.
I have a long schedule of things that we're watching. We're watching Haunting of Hill House. I know.
Which one is that?
I have to see that.
I haven't seen that either.
Have you? Oh, how have you watched it before?
Yes, I've watched it before.
Oh, yeah. That's a great show. What you have you watched The Bly Manor yet?
Yes, I finished it.
You finished Bly Manor?
Ago. Yeah.
What did you think of Bly Manor?
I think it was actually even better than the first season. I think the ending was definitely more solid.
I think it was better.
I like the tragic aspect of the ending, and I like there was more of a cost to be paid with that ending as opposed to the ending of the first season.
Interesting. We're definitely going to talk about that because I like Bly Manor too, but I think Haunted Hill House is better.
All right, we will have to have that discussion. I'll bring you on because do you maybe I'll have to figure out like I'd actually like maybe you and me and a few other people can watch it because I know that like at least a few of the stream team me and the stream team are going to watch them. I'd like to bring you on for that and on for that discussion.
Nice. Yeah, I'm up for that.
All righty.
I need to watch it.
All righty.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, please watch that before you watch the stream because we will go full spoilers.
All right.
And some twists in there that you want to see for yourself.
Definitely.
But anyway, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you to my guests, Nick Brown, the Gino, Cotterwolf, and JLL. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting about your favorite horror movies. I've greatly appreciated it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I enjoyed it.
Alrighty. Well, anyway, so one last thing to be said.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going. Go!